Hey guys, it's Kevin with Lake Warrior. Today, I'm gonna go over what it took me to be able to design and build curved flagstone patio steps. That's right, I said curved because these are actually gonna curve into our landscape in a way that looks natural, organic, and just not straight and linear. Because in my mind, straight and linear does not belong in an organic environment. I want something that forms its way into the terrain. So we chose to go with sort of a curved staircase made out of stone, made out of natural materials. And there are a few reasons for that. One, when you go to start building up dirt, it's gonna settle. And when it settles, if you do something more traditional, like a traditional patio, castle rock, when those things settle, especially on a hill, they're gonna start to look uneven. They're gonna even have just sort of imperfections to it. So I didn't want that. I wanted something that would be able to kind of ebb and flow with the ground as it heaves in the wintertime, in the spring, all of that. So we chose the natural bluestone flagstone for that. And then if you look, as we go through the construction techniques of this, the way we built it with the boulders and with the base, it makes it so the whole thing can kind of flex. So that was the number one. The old staircase looked a lot like a cattle call herd fence. It just came straight out. It really looked like a boardwalk. It just didn't have the right vibe. It walled off our backyard in a weird way. So this is all about trying to open up the backyard, allow it to be a little more flexible and airy, and kind of go with the rest of our landscape. So that was a big part of it. The other thing was when we had this designed by our architect, Dana, she also priced it. And to have someone do this, flagstone is a very cheap material. When you buy just the actual material, we might have $500 in flagstone on this project. But to have the labor to install it was the expensive part. And in order to do that on this project was gonna be upwards of $15,000 just for the labor to put this in. Now, as you'll see throughout the video, it took me 2 days and a whole lot of labor on my own, a little bit of ibuprofen and some Bengay, but I got through it and spent my own time. 2-3 days working on it is what I spent. So I was able to save a substantial amount of money in terms of labor, still had the money in the materials, but we did save the money on the materials, or on the labor, I'm sorry. So, all that said, I'm gonna go through the details of how I did it. I'm gonna draw through what it means to do this in a side section view where I cut across the plane of the hill, and then show you guys how we built this construction-wise. And then we're gonna track through the whole project, start to finish, the 2-day process, and I'll let you just sort of see what it took to do it. All right, so what you're looking at right here is what I call a side section, all right? As if I've cut through the hill into my staircase, all right? Here's a step. There's the boulders that make up the front face, a step, the boulders that make up the front face. All right, so the trick here is that you're gonna essentially put in a row of boulders, all right, that will sit on top of the lower step that you just installed, all right? They'll sit on top of that. Then you're gonna take the fines or your gravel that you're using as your base, and you're gonna fill that in so it's level and slightly leaning. All right, so water will come off of the top of the step and where you want it. All right, so it's slightly leaning, and then I'm gonna come through with the compactor and hand compact the base material. All right, so this is all base material, right? Then I'm gonna put my flagstone up over top of that, all right, on top of it to make the actual step. All right, so that becomes the actual step. All right, the key here is that this flagstone sits on top of the boulder. All right, so then that way you have flagstone to boulder in terms of making the connection. Then you'll put your next boulder on, your next set of boulders, and again, you'll put the base in just like we did, slightly leaning outward so the water will come off of that. All right, then pack that down. So you've got your base under there, and then simply lay your flagstone down on top, okay? Again, boulder to flagstone making the connection, and that becomes your staircase. Now, in terms of the layout, the thing I wanted to talk to you about was, you can see here, this is the top view of my staircase, all right? So step, 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 landing, step, 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 landing, step, step, step. Now I added the landings so that way people had a place to land. This is a good thing for older people, even for younger people. When you're coming up these steps, sometimes you're tired or you have a collection of things and you want to just be able to stop. So it's really important that when you have a staircase more than a few stairs deep, pop a landing in there. So I've got a landing here, I've got a landing here, I've got 2 landings, and those just make it so when you're coming up and down, you can actually stop and catch your breath, you know, and be able to continue to traverse up or down the steps. Now, the other thing you'll notice here is the curve, all right? This curve can be exaggerated, but in my case, what I did was I actually made it larger on the bottom and smaller on the top. And the reason I did that was mainly for the idea of it being a forced perspective. So when you look at it from the lake, it's going to look bigger down here, which actually naturally forces the perspective of this. It'll look a little bit more magical because of that. So up top's a little smaller, down below is a little bit bigger. So over the course of the distance, it exaggerates it and gives it a sort of a forced perspective look. Okay, it didn't cost me $15,000, but it did cost me my back pain. A few weeks later, the back pain was gone, so I was okay. But those 2 days were really intense. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. Understand that with a little bit of labor, a whole lot of Bengay, you can save yourself some money by doing it yourself. And then also kind of looking at it as an artist would. Looking at your terrain, understanding how it's going to blend into what's around it. You know, those are the core things that I look at as a designer when I'm thinking about how this is going to work, you know, how it's going to blend in, and ultimately how it's going to fit in with the rest of the aesthetic. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It really, to me, these steps are a magical thing. I really believe anybody can build them. It's pretty straightforward. Maybe try to add a couple steps. Maybe add 1 step, maybe 2 steps. You don't need to do a whole big staircase, but try a little something in your own backyard and see what it takes. This is a great process, a good project, and I hope you guys had a good time watching. This is Lake Warrior. Smash the like. Please subscribe to my channel, and yeah, have a great day.